the Below 500 podcast. It's the first ever episode. So to start it off, I'm Gooch. We got Wiz and Hunter. We're going to go around and everyone's going to get like our teams out of the way going forward. So there's no bandwagoning, no switching up, and we all know who to roast for what going forward. I'll go ahead. I got anything college related, Oklahoma State Cowboys. Being from Oklahoma, Oklahoma City Thunder all the way for NBA. We're ass right now, but we're coming for that lottery pick. And NFL, I'm the Patriots guy, so everyone can get mad about that. And NHL and soccer can both go fuck themselves. I have nothing to say about either of those topics. So, Hunter, who you got?
All right. Well, this voice is going to be known as Hunter, and I don't want to list my team because it's very depressing. College-wise, I go to Sam Houston State, so go Bearcats. But besides a small-ass school like that, A&M, Aggies, and Jimbo we trust. And then Houston all around. Got the Houston Astros, got the depressing Houston Texans, and the bright future of the Houston Rockets.
Bright future.
Cade Cunningham. All right.
No,
I'm Wiz.
I'll say that.
Yeah, okay. I'm Wiz from Houston, so of course college I buy into the U of H Cougars, but other than that, I'm a big A&M and Gator fan just because that's around the time I got into football. I remember watching Tebow back in the day and watching Manziel a lot, so I've kind of got invested in those teams. But other than that, I'm a Rockets and Astros fan and a Cowboys fan for some fucking reason. So,
oh God, I'm sorry.
The only thing worse than Texans fan right now might be a Cowboys fan, just because so much is expected of us.
Yeah, I don't know.
Y'all have Jerry Jones, the owner. It's awful.
I don't know about that. This is coming from the guy whose quarterback is a rapist. Y'all got Bill Cosby at QB1.
Sexual assault. Let's chill out. All he did was hump a couple towels.
No. Just kidding. The girl came out with a statement in court. She was talking about she was talking about how he penetrated her. So even though like they're all sexual assault cases, she described rape. So
look, if it's guilty, it's racism because Ben Roethlisberger was innocent.
No, see, Ben Roethlisberger, in rape cases, I don't know exactly how it works, but you can pay him off. That's why they ask for money up front. And like Deshaun Watson denied
Watson's like, no, he's not trying to.
Yeah,
he's not
because in a rape case, like, so you're not acquitted of rape. It's just the case never gets taken forward.
Exactly.
You pay him. That's what Roethlisberger did. And that's what Kobe did. So technically,
the most recent case of that is Antonio Brown just came to a settlement with the sexual assault case he had.
None of them are proven innocent, but they just
and like with Antonio Brown, he did the non-disclosure agreement where nobody can speak why it was settled or what the amount was.
That's how we got Donald Trump as our president.
We a MAGA podcast now?
Yeah, I was about to say, are we a MAGA pod or
the power of the NDA, baby?
Or are I think we're a free thinker pod.
We're like 5 minutes into the pod, getting canceled twice.
Hey, make sure we call LeBron before we give any more opinions.
Oh man!
All right, let's get into it.
We got our depressing teams.
Let's get into it.
It's gonna go on Watson rant too. It's a good thing. We'll just wait. I'll save the Watson rant for later. All
right, big news. We got UFC last night. I did not watch it, so somebody who did watch it, take the reins on this one.
So I did not watch it either. So Wiz, this is all of you.
I pulled up the stream right after everyone freaked out about Chris Weidman breaking his legs. I looked it up on Twitter.
Oh,
And did y'all see the video?
I saw
Yes.
clips.
That was awful. It was funny. We're talking about that's like the same guy who Anderson Silva broke his leg against.
Was it really? Because I was going to
Yeah.
compare it to that.
Yeah, it was the same exact guy he broke his leg against.
Oh,
and
that's, I mean,
that was early in the match too. And then this was like his first kick. So it was crazy. And when he fell down, just like the position of his leg, it was sick.
Karma, instant karma, or not instant, but it was karma full.
Instant
full
karma 10 years later.
The universe at work. But
Yeah,
and
I didn't.
He apparently. Oh, sorry.
I didn't know that was the same guy that fought Anderson Silva, because I was gonna say, like, when you put this in the notes, that literally looked almost identical to me as the Anderson Silva kick.
And apparently he celebrated after he won that match because Silva broke his legs, like like last night his opponent like kind of like went in the corner like on his knees and kind of like felt bad for him. But
which I mean, the video wasn't bad until it was the very end when they showed him trying to stand back up.
Well, and you got to think about
folded.
You got to think about. They said that was the first ever UFC fight that a fighter won without throwing a single strike.
Oh yeah, because it was immediate. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's like as the other fighter, you got to think like, yeah, you win, but like
you didn't earn it. Yeah.
You can easily train a fight in another month.
Oh yeah.
They could have trained for that whole fight.
You don't have to wait to heal and get all that, get ready.
I always think about that because that's why there's so much time off in between UFC matches, because you got the shit beat out of you. Even if you won, you gotta wait till you get back in the ring. So like
you don't have to sit and heal. He's ready to go. Yeah. He can go ahead and find his next prospect and just start training.
But I don't know. After that fight, there was two female championship fights. I didn't pay attention too much to the first one, but she just bullied the girl.
I watched highlights on everything. That first fight, Shevchenko, you were trying to talk about outclassing an opponent. Like, she wouldn't let that girl do anything. No.
Yeah, and I was listening to like the Joe Rogan and them like after the fight, and they were saying like apparently she's not that great of a takedown fighter. That's what they thought the other girl had the advantage in that, and she just went in and proved them wrong, kind of a fuck you to them.
Yeah, so that's how you know they got her ass whipped.
Oh yeah, but then there was the next fight. Oh, sorry, Hunter.
No, go ahead.
And then there was the next fight. I should have wrote down the names. I'm awful at names.
The only thing is, like, I watched the clips before this. The only thing I remember from that fight is Thug Rose.
So there was Thug Rose versus the Asian chick. I don't remember her name. But all I remember it was
walking a thin line.
I think I can name the ethnicity, but she pretty much she just caught one of the nastiest kicks I've ever seen.
That was like a minute into the fight, right?
Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
Just lights out.
And yeah, she got back up. She was wobbling all over the place, but she did not want that.
Yeah, I saw the clips from the video of that. This is the first UFC fight I didn't stream in a while. I'm sad I missed out on it, but there's so much great things that happened.
See, the only reason I streamed it. Go ahead.
I was like, third time's a charm on trying to get us canceled on episode 1. But I had one takeaway from the Thug Rose fight, and I'd never watched her fight before. So just first impressions on that fight. Tell me that Rose, I can't come up with her last name on top of my head, but tell me she could not stand in for Carl from Shameless.
I don't watch Shameless.
Neither of y'all watch Shameless? Oh my god.
Carl, is that the main character, the old guy?
No, hold on.
My wife watches it.
If any of our listeners watch Shameless,
what's her name? Thug Rose?
That joke is gonna hit.
Oh, okay. I see. If he buzzed his head, holy shit.
Well, so he had a buzzed head in like the first 3 seasons. I'm trying to find the picture.
I watched the first episode of Shameless, saw the main chick's boobs, and I was like, nice. Can't get into it though.
See, my wife was into it for a while, but she hasn't gotten back into it since. Okay, I see him with the buzzed head. Okay, they have like the same.
Tell
face.
me
Okay.
that this is not Thug Rose.
Wait, is that him?
That's him
Oh
from
my
season
God.
2.
I thought you were showing me a picture of Rose.
No.
Oh my God.
Oh, that was her as like a kid.
No.
Oh my God, that's funny.
Okay, so
That was
the
my
girl she
big.
knocked out. Her last name. Wait, her last name, it looks like it's Zhang, so I'll call her Zhang. But I don't blame her because like I feel like everyone, if you want to go out in a fight, you want to be KO'd. Like even though TKOs are like right, I don't. She said after the fight that like if she's still conscious, she wants to keep going. But I get it.
I don't know. Maybe try asking the girl that
You know,
got her jaw
kind of-
kicked off.
That was Zhang. That's what she said after the fight. She said, if I'm still conscious, I want to keep going. But which I can relate to, but you have stoppages for a reason.
Something Ben Askren should have done last week.
We'll get to that.
Is
in a
that
minute,
we're jumping the
Yeah.
gun, but
yeah. So there was last fight. It was what's his name? Usman versus
Kamaru
Masvidal.
Usman and Jorge Masvidal.
I'll start off. I hate Masvidal. For one, I hate people who are cocky. It's overall like that tends to piss me off. But he's got a shit record really in.
So which one of them took the fight on 6 days' notice?
I think
It was Masvidal.
round one.
Or was that was the first fight?
Yeah, and that was Masvidal. So
Oh,
that's why they were saying
I
he
thought
wasn't
that was
conditioned
this
right.
fight.
No, and see that's why they were talking about during the fight how he's better conditioned, he's in better shape and stuff like that.
Okay.
And he
That
still
makes
wasn't.
I think I
sense.
remember that.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
to be fair, I didn't watch the full fight. I watched the highlights. If he wasn't in control of the fight up until the knockout, he was right there. Like, I mean, he had every shot.
He was getting some solid shots in
to win that fight. Even when he was on the ground, like he was on the ground a lot, but he was controlling the fight even from the bottom.
Oh yeah,
and then he just got
he was on the
tagged.
ground. He was getting his licks in.
Yeah, then he just got tagged.
And I think they were talking about like, so pretty much my UFC knowledge goes back probably about as far as like when I've been like watching here and there on streams when Usman won was about a year ago, a little over, I don't know, but I've watched a few of his fights and it seems like they were talking about how he gets better every fight and his striking keeps getting better and better even though he's already great on the ground. And so I don't know who's going to beat him.
Yeah, I'm lacking in this topic. I can't.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way. Like my UFC knowledge, like I was like an early UFC guy, and now like all my guys that I actually had knowledge of, they're all gone. They're retired, and then I kind of phased out and didn't get into the new guys, so I don't really know.
See, I was big into McGregor, so I watched.
Yeah, I'm a casual UFC fan. It's just, if there's a fight that's a bunch of big hype, I'll prep and watch it. That's about it.
See, that's pretty much me. But like, I watched this one because I don't like Masvidal. I wanted to see him get rocked, and the last three fights were great. Like I said, like all three title fights, both of the girls and this one, it was a great watch.
I know I can't bet on a fight to save my life because I've never in like the 6 years I've ever done it. Everybody I've ever bet on a fight loses.
No,
I've never won.
Speaking of betting, I have a shit record of betting. I've won one bet my entire life, just even if it's like $20 with a friend or cousin or whatever. And I bet a cousin, he's a Cowboys fan, and he bet me $20 the Cowboys would beat the Eagles week 17, like 2013, something like that. And I said, we're not going to fucking win with Kyle Orton to go to the playoffs. So I bet the Eagles.
Besides you?
I remember because it's like, so if
This
the Eagles
you're
win,
the only one.
if the Eagles win, I get $20. If they lose, I lose $20, and the Cowboys make the playoffs. It was a win-win for me.
I forgot about
course.
Kyle Orton's existence, so you brought his name up.
And of course, that's the only bet I ever win because the Cowboys had to fucking lose and miss the playoffs. Orton's
All right.
good though.
That seems like all we got on the UFC talk. We're going to go ahead and start our first ever segment, which we're calling highs and lows. So we're just going to kind of go around the group and go over if we have high topics that we're high on for the week or topics that have got us low for the week. So Wiz said he's got something to start it off.
So I'm gonna start off with a low. My low is just fuck Jake Paul, and which kind of goes with that is fuck Snoop Dogg. He's really sold out, sitting there hyping about Eminem. We're not talking about that. We're talking about.
I know. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about how he's riding.
He is.
Jake
Paul
he so
rides Jake Paul because
y'all wasn't feeling Mount Westmore.
I don't know what you're talking about, honestly, but I feel like anyone else would just fucking hate Jake Paul, but Snoop Dogg, they're riding him. He must be getting a good paycheck to be there. But Jake Paul has fought no one at all, and he acts like he's the fucking shit. He's in UFC. He was at the UFC last night, shit talking. What's his name? Cormier. I think Cormier would kick his. I think Cormier would kick his ass. You know, he's more of a wrestler, but he still can hold his own fighting. But I think even a boxing match, he would kick Jake Paul's ass. But
I don't understand why he won't talk shit to a boxer. He's like pulling people out of their natural habitat because so he has a chance.
That was my thing. Was like that was my big take on this. Was like he's 3-0 or 4-0.
3.
So he's 3-0, and he literally has not only has he not fought a boxer, he hasn't fought anybody with boxing skills. Who did he fight in that first
anybody
fight?
That's relevant.
It was like a YouTuber.
He fought a YouTuber?
He fought a YouTuber. He fought
an ex-basketball player.
A retired basketball player, and an MMA fighter, which that was like the big sell was like that he's finally fighting a fighter. But the fighter he picked to fight is renowned for being a bad boxer. And
I know he's and what pissed me off even more is Jake Paul tweeted sometime during the week last week that they were supposed to have a wrestling match, and he said he's not doing it because
he backs out of the wrestling
because he's a loser.
But like he's a loser.
It has nothing to do. It surely had nothing to do with the fact that Askren is an Olympic gold medalist wrestler.
Oh yeah.
That's ridiculous. One thing I want to happen is I want to see Jake Paul and McGregor because I saw where he tried calling out McGregor.
So I actually looked up his. He's getting a little more out there with like who his next potential fight. So he's got about 5. I mean, I thought I was good, but he's got about 5 candidates for his next fight. So one of them, I'll save this one for last because this is the one that I've got opinions on. So one that's been tossed around.
That's a cliffhanger right there.
I know. Is Dylan Dennis, the guy that trains with McGregor. That one's been tossed around. There's been like some interaction between them on social media. I don't really see that one happening. I don't think that's like a big enough. I think that would almost be like a step back from the Ben Askren fight. So I don't see Paul doing that. There's obviously the Daniel Cormier one. I don't see Dana White letting that happen because Daniel Cormier works for the UFC now. And Dana White has been very vocal in his feelings about Jake Paul's fighting career. And Daniel Cormier, he's not a boxer. He's known for his ground game. He's strong. He's strong as hell. He outweighs Jake Paul by probably 75 pounds. And then the third one, you had Joe Fournier. I've never heard of this guy. Apparently, he's a billionaire from London that has apparently 9 fights under his belt. But his last fight was against a Latin pop star. So, I mean, he's pretty much the English Jake Paul. So I'm not really loving this matchup. And then the two that actually have me kind of intrigued are he has expressed interest in fighting Tyron Woodley, the former welterweight champion from the UFC, who is an absolute monster. And then the one I said I would save for the end is, and this is like the one that I think everyone is kind of pushing to happen, Tommy Fury. And if you don't know who that is the current heavyweight boxing champion, Tyson Fury's brother. And you want to talk about a bloodline. Their dad was, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, their dad was a championship boxer. Tyson Fury is the hottest name in boxing right now. And now Jake Paul wants to fight his 21-year-old brother. And that one is the one that intrigues me.
I would love to see that. Oh my God, I would love to see that.
That's the first boxer, the first actual trained boxer Jake Paul has ever even like entertained the possibility of fighting.
I'd like to see that.
I mean, I would like to see it, but I don't see it happening because I don't think Jake Paul is going to go into a fight where he sees himself that he has a chance of losing.
No, for sure not. But I mean, you kind of have to weigh kind of
Not
your
even the
pros and
closest.
cons as if you're Jake Paul, because if you're Jake Paul, you got to kind of look at it like every step now has to be like a step up, like because you just fought an MMA fighter and beat him, so you can't go backwards. So yeah, I mean it's kind of like a risk reward situation.
Yeah.
He needs to fight a boxer. Everyone knows he needs to fight a boxer, and if he continues to refuse to fight boxers, I don't see how his like legitimacy is not called into question.
If he fights somebody that's not a boxer, I would just love to see McGregor, because McGregor held his own against Mayweather whenever they fought.
That's what I was gonna say.
If there was more rounds, or there was too many rounds, because he's used to UFC 7 rounds, right?
I think it's
5 rounds.
No,
5 rounds for a championship.
5 for a championship.
3 for a regular.
Well, in boxing,
fight.
I think. Well, no, I think they went 7 rounds or something. Whenever he finally got, I don't know.
And he just got
boxing.
gas.
He got gas because he's not used to doing so many rounds. And where in boxing, I think their fight was like Mayweather and McGregor was 12 rounds.
Yeah,
boxing's
12
It
rounds.
went up to 12.
Standard is 12.
I think it ended.
I think their exhibition was 10.
Was it?
But still, that's still not what he's used to. He was gassed.
But yeah, like around 5, you could tell he had nothing.
I was gonna say, you could tell after like round 4, he was starting to feel it, and by round 7, he had
nothing in his punches. And
I just feel like McGregor would be able to hold his own even better against Jake Paul, because Jake Paul he's not even a true boxer in my opinion. So I don't think they wouldn't it'd be equal. I don't see one getting gas before the other one. I feel like it'd be very equal.
Jake Paul hasn't even gone long yet.
The only reason I don't see just the Conor McGregor Jake Paul fight happening right now is, I mean, what weight does he fight at? He's pretty jacked.
Here we go.
Okay, there we go. We're back. Like Jake Paul's a big dude, and I just don't see Conor McGregor's never been a big guy. I mean, he's fight anywhere between 135 and 155 in his MMA career, and so I mean,
all right. Do we want to interrupt him?
Am I frozen again?
Well, I'm gonna interrupt him. I'm gonna say I think one of the biggest things stopping the McGregor Paul fight is
Oh man.
Oh, am I back?
Are you back
you're,
now?
You're back.
Am I back? Okay, I'm back.
You're back. well, I don't know if you want to go over again, but what I was saying while you were frozen was that I think the biggest thing holding it back is Jake Paul and McGregor's team have been fighting over a 50-50 split on revenue. So I think that's the biggest thing holding them back, because I think McGregor knows he's a bigger sell than Jake Paul, but Jake Paul believes he's some crazy superstar that deserves it all.
Yeah, like, did you see his Instagram post after the Askren pay-per-view? He's
McGregor
claiming,
or Jake Paul?
Jake Paul. He's claiming that he got $75 million in pay-per-view royalties.
See, and I believe that, because it's insane.
Yeah,
It was like one of the most bought pay-per-views ever.
Off.
So I just
it made it top 10, didn't it?
I thought it was funny because this was his Instagram post. I don't know how well you guys can see that after the fight.
Yeah. I can see it.
Yeah, it's so cringy.
Those are $1 bills. Those are $1 bills.
Yeah, I see that.
I could go to the bank right now and recreate that picture. Like, my whole opinion on Jake Paul is like, I'm not impressed. Fight a boxer.
No.
So that being
one
said,
last rant about the whole. Well, I guess I got two last rants about the Jake Paul situation. So Twitter, there's been a whole argument over whether or not it was rigged, and everyone's argument against it is God, Gooch.
I'm back. You just gotta wait it out.
See, we can't pause that long, so we just keep going.
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
So
I can hear you while y'all keep going.
Oh man, we'll have to do some sort of signal so you just pause until you're back. But
I'm good to go.
Okay, well, what I'm saying about the whole rigged situation is that everyone on Twitter seems to be saying, like, who's defending it not being rigged, is that there was a real hit to the temple. But what people don't realize is that, when a boxing fight is rigged or someone takes a fall, you take the hit, but you purposely take it and you get your shit rocked. And that hit just seemed so telegraphed to me. It seemed like he opened himself up and took it. Ben Askren made it biggest payday of his career and walked out smiling. I could see that it was rigged for Jake Paul.
That's the only part that I don't understand is how he walked off smiling and laughing. Because if I just got my ass beat by Jake Paul,
yeah, the biggest payday of his career,
I'd be pissed.
Yeah, he didn't condition. He didn't give a shit. He came in there to take an ass beating, and probably if it was rigged, he had it planned out to take that hit in under a minute, so Jake Paul would look so great. And left with a huge payday and was happy about it.
Yeah, so like, my interest in the Paul brothers is Logan Paul, who only has one professional fight under his belt, now has a scheduled fight against Floyd Mayweather.
That happens in June, I believe, doesn't it?
June 5th.
Oh, I can't wait for that. This will be the first time I've ever rooted for Mayweather, and I'm really scared rooting for Mayweather. Because, like I said, I've lost every fucking boxing bet ever. So I'm rooting for Mayweather, and I'm going to be so pissed if Logan Paul wins. Because
my question in this is, who is this a worse fight for? Logan Paul or Floyd Mayweather?
I think Mayweather knows he's going to win. And the fight's probably going to drag out at least a few rounds because that's just Mayweather's style.
Yeah.
Probably won't even reach 7 like he did with McGregor. But
no, Mayweather is defensive specialist, but I think Mayweather just spent a little too much money and was like, hey, what's hot right now?
Yeah,
let me make some back.
See, that's why I think it's better for Mayweather, because Mayweather's just he's taking a fight he knows he can win. It's got a shit ton of hype. So many people are going to buy it just because.
Yeah, exactly. He's 51-0.
So yeah, this is only bad for Jake Paul or Logan Paul because does he really expect to win?
I guess so. That Paul blood something else.
I don't know. I like Logan a lot more than Jake Paul.
Oh, definitely. Jake Paul's just cringy. Logan, he's just not as cringy, but also not as annoying as Jake is.
he redeemed himself, changed up his content a lot after what happened.
Yeah, after that whole thing.
But
yeah, I don't know. I just don't see any upside for Mayweather other than the money. Hunter said like he thinks he blew his bankroll and he's gonna go fight a YouTuber for some money. What
because
if you win, no one's gonna cheer. No one's gonna be like, "Yay, Mayweather," because you beat Logan Paul. And if you lose, you're 50 and 0. You're 50 and 0.
And if he loses, I gotta say it's gonna be a fluke if he loses. And then Logan Paul is gonna turn around and gets ass kicked, and that's just gonna ruin Mayweather's.
The biggest question to me is if Mayweather loses, how big of a stain does it leave on his career?
Massive.
That's what I'm saying.
50 and 0, and your one loss is to a YouTuber.
51.
Because Logan's gonna turn around and get KO'd by someone else, and that's gonna make him look even worse.
Floyd has beat some of literally the all-time greats in boxing history, and you're gonna lose to Logan Paul.
But it's not gonna happen, honestly.
I mean, no one thought Ben Askren was gonna get knocked out by Jake Paul. So I mean, all bets are off at this point.
The Pauls are they're betting their estate on a Jake Paul and Logan Paul are emptying the bank for Mayweather to take a fall.
I mean, would you? If you had the money to beat Floyd Mayweather in a boxing match?
I mean, if I'd assume yes. If I was into boxing and stuff like that, I'd assume yes. If I could just throw money at someone like that, but yeah.
If you told me that I had enough money to buy a win against Floyd Mayweather, and I'm in the boxing world like the Paul brothers are, that's all day. Like you do that all day.
Is that enough about the Pauls?
Yeah, I think
that's enough about UFC and
too
boxing and fighting in general.
Oh, way too much.
I think that's too much time for the Paul brothers.
Yes, thank God this doesn't last long. This is just like every month thing.
Oh yeah.
Why we?
I could say more, but I'm gonna cut myself off. I can't keep going.
But. All right, on to other sports.
For the North Dakota State, Sam Houston State. We're still doing our highs and lows, man. You got
Hunter's got a low.
I've got a low, but I'm gonna see if Gooch has any lows.
I'm
gonna take a minute.
No, I think Hunter's got the last low. I'm high on life right now.
Oh, I am low on life because this week was the start of NBA fantasy playoffs. I somehow managed to get my injury-riddled team to the 6th seed, the last seed of the playoffs. I'm about to pull up my team.
I was about to say, I'm not in the league, so you're going to have to go over the team.
But I get to face the lovely Wiz.
Tied for first overall with my injury-riddled team. So
when my team is fully healthy, I beat everybody in the league. Everybody.
I mean, my
team has been hurt all year.
If you go look at the stats, we've had close to the same amount of people out all year. I think I've actually had a little more. And
I know you just got lucky before the season started, before anybody knew anything about the players, and you got lucky with all your trades.
I exploited some trades. I looked at the right stats. People were paying attention to names. I was paying attention to stats. Like I valued someone like Draymond Green, who I know is going to put up 8, 8, and 8 every night because 8 rebounds and 8 assists is.
I learned that too late in the season. That's why I was like, fuck.
I mean, I have Russ and Green. I mean, that's worth like almost 20 and 20 every night. Like
exactly. So my team makes me cry. It consists of Trae Young, KD, Donovan Mitchell, which I just picked him up off waiver because somebody dropped him, Jimmy Butler, Lonzo Ball, Rudy Gobert, Kyle Lowry, KP, Kristaps Porzingis, Gary Trent Jr., Andre Drummond, Bogdanovich of the Hawks, Wendell Carter Jr., Harrison Barnes, Malik Monk, and TJ McConnell. Over half of those people are hurt currently or have been hurt throughout the whole season. And long story short, I am getting killed.
See, I think the difference in our teams is that your team kind of like the injuries piled up mid to late season, and
Exactly.
mine was spread out all season. Like
Mine was spread out, and then all of a sudden they all got healthy, and then it's either rest
yeah,
or they all piled up. And now I'm going to be a first round exit, because today is the last day. And
oh, yeah. And
exactly,
so it's a
it's a
wrap. I'm
wrap.
sorry,
But
Hunter.
I'm just playing proceeding now in the overall league.
Yeah, but
At least I can't get lower than sixth. 6 out of 12. That's
not bad.
That's 500. It's not below.
You're not. Oh yeah, I guess we're above 500.
But yeah, that's the lowest part of my year so
I,
far.
I guess that's technically a high for me, because looking at my team compared to other teams going on right now in the playoffs, my team's actually had a few people sit this week too, and I'm still looking better than the seeds above me. So I'm feeling pretty confident.
There's only one person I hope that does not win, and it's Diego.
It's Diego. And
Oh God!
well, if he listens to this, we'll hear about this.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna hear about it. I'm not gonna get into it because that's something else. That's a whole nother spiel.
But yeah.
So
Hey, can y'all hear my wife yelling at the dogs? Or is that
Kind of, yeah.
vaguely.
I was just wondering what this picks up.
Yeah, so I'm gonna piggyback at y'all's NBA fantasy talk onto MLB fantasy talk. I said before we got on the air, I hate baseball fantasy. I mean, our listeners don't know this yet. Ex-college baseball player, baseball my whole life. I can't stand fantasy baseball. It's too much. The lineups are too big. There's too many players, and you have to set a lineup every day. And on top of that, in the beginning of the season, I mean, a pitcher, oh, my shoulder hurts today. Well, you're going on the 10-day DL. Oh, well, my lineup's fucked. And then right now, but either way, no matter how much I voice my despise for fantasy baseball, I've got a buddy who puts me in his league every year, regardless. Well, this year, I said, fuck it. I didn't even, today before this podcast, I logged on to my team for the first time since I didn't even do the draft. Let me just run down this lineup for you. We've got
how many teams?
Let me see. We have got, it's a 10-team league. I am currently in second place overall. And no draft, no lineup adjustments since the season has started. I'm going to just run this down. Salvador Perez, Jose Abreu, Chris Bryant, Gene Segura, Francisco Lindor, Marcelo Zuna, Randy Arozarena from out of Tampa Bay, Nelson Cruz, and Mike Trout. And then on my pitching staff, Aaron Nola, Kyle Hendricks, who, sidebar, got fucking lit up last week. I don't know if y'all saw his, was it 5 or 6 home run first inning he put up?
No.
I
only keep up with the Astros. I hate to say that, but
then the rest of my pitching staff, I've got Sean Manea out of Oakland. Honestly, it looks like my pitching staff's kind of booty cheeks, but my hitters are solid. I was pleasantly surprised to see what my hitting rotation looked like. But that's my
this is
high.
My first year. Yeah, this is my first year doing fantasy baseball, and I went all hitting pretty much in like the first 2 weeks. I was for sure the best hitting team. My batters are shit in the bed this week though. But one thing I hate, are y'all? I don't know if it's standard MLB, but do y'all do like it's every category against each other?
That's not
For
the way
scoring?
mine is.
You get like a certain amount of points
Yeah,
per
that's the
player.
way ours is. Yeah,
Yeah.
ours is categories. We have a total of 10 categories.
12. It's 6
12
batting
categories.
categories and 6 pitching categories. And like the more I think about it, the more like I'm like, in baseball, there's so many stats, and really like the ones we're leaving out are a big deal. Like it's like because we're doing the same thing for basketball categories, but like leaving out turnovers doesn't feel that big of a deal. But like leaving out extra base hits feels like a big deal in fantasy because like someone who gets extra base hits all the time and is getting you something for that every time feels like a big deal
Yeah.
to be left out. But I don't know. I don't love fantasy baseball either. If we keep this,
I just feel like fantasy football is like the sweet spot. I say that because I won our fantasy football league this year. But I mean, it's perfect. It's perfect fantasy sports. Once a week matchups, like you set your lineup once a week, and you let it ride. Like fantasy baseball like consumes your life if you pay attention to it.
Oh yeah. And like even basketball, you do have to set it up every day. But like the games, most 90% of the season, the games don't tip off till 6.
Yeah.
Like baseball, games are at 12.
Sometimes
like,
11.
Or I mean, an
I'm-
East Coast game might be at 11.
Yeah, you're like, fuck. I
what
miss
I
setting up
enjoy
my
doing-
lineup.
Yeah, I set my lineups like in advance just in case. Like
Yeah.
I do it like 2 or 3 days in advance, so I can still go back and check. Because at night before I go to bed, I take me forever to wind down and go to sleep. So I'll just do the usual thing. I'll go check my fantasy teams, go do this, go do that, and go to bed. So I'll just check to see if any. I already have my lineup set, so I'll just see if there's any injuries, which my team's full of them, and there is usually just like my basketball. But I actually have a decent pitching team. I have one of the best pitching teams in the league. I don't know how that happened because we went through this draft. All of us did, except for like maybe 2 people not knowing anything.
Oh yeah. I think like Casey's like one of the only guy who knows shit about baseball.
Casey,
across the board.
I think Tyler said he knew some stuff about baseball.
See, I know the Astros and big names. That's pretty much
Yeah, that's why your team is 80% Astros. That's why when COVID hit them, people leave.
Mm-hmm.
Wiz getting an asterisk next to his fantasy baseball championship.
That's funny because my team's called the Houston Asterix.
Yeah, you don't want to know what my team's called.
Yeah, we're not gonna say it.
Yeah, if you thought we were already canceled, just wait.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, my pitching team. Oh, Chris Taylor. He's actually starting today. Okay, we'll change that later. But my pitching is Garrett Cole, Tyler Glasnow. Is it Tyler? It is Tyler. Okay, Jose Barrios, Ryan Yarbrough, Jake Arrieta, Kendall Graveman, JT Brubaker, Yimi Garcia, and then I got Christian Javier, Carlos Rodon, Denelson LeMay, or Lamé, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. He is on the IL 10 list along with Framber Valdez, and then I stashed Noah Syndergaard on my IR.
That's my big gripe with fantasy baseball. Fantasy baseball, like the first half of the season, like I understand the 10-day DL. I get it. But from a fantasy perspective, the 10-day DL has all but killed fantasy baseball. Because, I mean, you can throw a guy on there for, a week and a half. It really has. Like, and like even right now, like Mike Trout is listed as day-to-day and didn't play today because it's April 25th and there's 140 more games left in the season. So his wrist hurts. He's not going to play. Like, okay, well, I drafted you number 1 overall. Fucking play.
Yeah, what makes me mad is the people that are day-to-day and then they slap them on the IL 10 on the 10-day injury list.
Yeah.
That's what makes me mad because right now the people on my offense that are on the injury list is Jacques Peterson, Anthony Rendon, Chris Taylor's day to day, but now he's starting. He has been missing games, and then George Springer.
And that's what I hate too, because like really, like, even as a good baseball fan, like big Astros fan, like I'm invested in the first 20 games, kind of see how the record shapes out. But then really to like
August.
around the third quarter, yeah, you don't really like until
It,
the playoff
it
picture starts
doesn't
shaping out.
matter.
Like,
It doesn't matter.
yeah,
As like if
because
you're
like
within what 5 games of first place or the wild card come August, like you're fine.
like imagine a basketball, an 82 game season. You can be like, wow, they missed the playoffs by 1 game, or they're 1 game out of the 1 seed. You can go back to like mid-season and say like, wow, if so and so didn't hit that crazy game-winning buzzer, they'd be the first seed or be in the playoffs. But baseball, you're not going back to middle of the season saying, wow,
161
yeah,
games. Yeah.
because if they didn't
Exactly,
if they didn't hit that walk-off homer, they'd be like, it just
If
you don't care.
if Mike Trout doesn't strike out here in this game on June 17th, then they make the wild card. Like we're gonna do that 160 times.
No shit.
But
Yeah,
It's just
that's like
I can't get completely invested into it until towards the end of the season.
yeah, because like it doesn't matter. Like there's too many storylines and there's too many possibilities. Like what was in 2011 when the Cardinals, my baseball team, the St. Louis Cardinals, when they won it in 2011, they were like 7 games back coming like down the late stretch of the season, and then went on like a super hot winning streak. And whoever had the wild card spot went ice cold, and they snuck into the wild card spot from being 7 games back in the last month of the season, and ended up going to win the World Series.
like the Washington Nationals weren't even like anywhere near like 2019. I think they won the World Series. They weren't anywhere near the playoff picture come All-Star game, but they had the best record after the All-Star game going forward, and they rode it all the way to a championship. And they beat the Astros, probably for sure the best team in the league that year, hitting and pitching, because they had Verlander and Cole, and they just embarrassed us. But mid-season they weren't even
Which I'm still mad
anyone's
they
radar.
pulled. I'm still mad they pulled Greinke because we had Greinke too. We got Greinke.
Yeah. So let's not get into that. I think, but like I'm just saying, like mid-season, no one had the Nationals on their radar. Like, and they
That's the
come
thing.
back.
Like
Well,
baseball
last season too. With the last season, the Astros had a losing record. Nobody saw them being in the ALCS 1 game away
Game
from going to the
7.
series.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no one had them going that far.
Well, it's not like in like late season MLB. It's not like college where like you might have like a freaking like Oklahoma State's going to be like top 10 in the nation, and then they play like Kansas or something in baseball. MLB, who's hot? Like who's hot in September, and that's who I'm wanting. Like that's who I'm putting my like money on. Like you're talking about the Nationals, like because it's the MLB. If you're even in the conversation come August or September, you have just as much of a shot as anybody else in the league.
Yeah, I'd say like if you're talking about like what they say any given Sunday in football, I'd say that's even more relevant for baseball because like
For sure.
Because basketball is probably the basketball. If you have both teams have their full lineup, I think the better team 99 times out of 100 is going to win.
Yeah, well, and that's like more than football or baseball, basketball. Like, I mean, one player can dictate the entire game, and I mean, if you've got 2 players like that, wrap it up. Like,
yeah. But baseball, I mean, like a nobody. Because I mean, baseball's so deep. There's great people in the minors who had great college careers, and they just never get a chance.
And it doesn't even take, who get caught. It doesn't even take great people. Like it just takes great moments. Like that's the thing is like baseball is more like a game of moments than it is like a game of people. Which tying this back into the fantasy thing is why fantasy baseball sucks. Because like just like imagine like in 2011, like you think anybody was clamoring to have David Freese on their fantasy baseball team in 2011? Absolutely not. But then he hits a home run in game 6 and saves the day, and he's World Series MVP. I mean, he's still to this day a hero in the city of St. Louis. But like literally before October 2011, nobody would have told you who David Freese is.
I still don't know, but
like a good example was I think want to say it was either 2018 or 2019 with the Astros. We have like guys like Tyler White and Tony Kemp, who are like fan favorites, pretty good, had their moments. But injuries piled up here and there with our star players. We had to call up more guys like Linus Diaz, Marlon Alvarez, and a bunch of other guys got called up, and they're just better than these guys that are just kind of like, lingering around our team when they get called up from minors. So once guys get healthy, we just got to let these other guys go. And the baseball is just insanely deep to me, and you never know who's sitting in minors because
exactly.
So I'm gonna segue this baseball talk into my next high point for our last bit of our highs and lows segment, and that is, as a lifelong baseball player, played all through college, obviously naturally attracted to baseball cards my whole life. I collected them. I got my dad's collection handed down to me as a kid, and I used to always joke with friends and with my wife that like one day this baseball card collection that I'm just saving up in cardboard boxes is going to be worth something one day. Well, then a couple months ago, out of the clear blue sky, I get a message from my grandma saying that they found 6 boxes of full sets of baseball cards in their barn. Literally dug them out of their barn, and they were going to go in the dumpster. And my grandma like pulled them out of the dumpster for me. So I got those yesterday. 6 like full-size cardboard boxes. Apparently they were going to be in like a garage sale for somebody else at one point, because like all the boxes were labeled and whatnot. Approximately, according to whoever, I don't know who counted them, they're estimating there's roughly 60,000 baseball cards in this collection, and mint condition, like look like they've never seen the light of day. So maybe this is my last below 500 pod boy, because I might be retiring in the Bahamas after I cash in these baseball cards, because I'm telling you. So it's 6 boxes. 2 of the boxes are actually basketball cards, so I don't know shit about the basketball card market, but I'm going through these boxes. I spent hours yesterday digging through thousands of baseball cards. All of them are like circa 1988 to 1994, and I mean, I've got my phone. I'm on eBay. I'm hunting. The big one, and of course, if anybody knows anything about the card market, that like a card doesn't mean shit unless it's been graded. So like, and which getting these cards graded absolutely terrifies me, because you have to mail your individual card off to a third party to grade it and send it back. It's like, okay, well, I know people that work at the post office, and if you think I'm putting this card that is potentially worth $400 in an envelope and mailing it, you're high on crack.
Because like, what they could easily switch it out too. The grader could. I mean, you got to find a reputable grader as well.
Well, so I was looking. That's another thing that I was gonna get into was, so I've never even looked into grading cards, because I've never had cards worth grading until yesterday. So I'm starting to look into it, starting to kind of see what I have my hands on. PSA is the company. They're the big name in baseball cards. They are like the official source for grading your baseball cards. And if you have a PSA, they grade them on a scale from 1 to 10. 1 means throw it in the fucking trash. 10 means fresh off the printing press. And if you have a PSA 8 or higher, like, so if you have a baseball card that's, you might look it up and it's worth $5. If you grade it and it's PSA 8 or higher, automatic $50 or higher.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's the thing, is like, if I want, so now I'm into this, like looking into this, thinking like, if I want this collection that just fell in my lap to be worth anything, I have to get at least some of the cards graded. Well,
yeah, I'd go through and pick out the most valuable ones and then get them graded.
so someone who has nothing about grading, I found out yesterday, ballpark me what you think it costs to grade one baseball card.
I don't know because I've never done it, but I would assume with so many people doing baseball cards, it'd be probably like $10.
Minimum starting out $20 per card.
God.
And I told you I've got roughly 60,000 cards.
So it's out of the question to get all of them graded. So you just need to pick out the most
For
valuable ones to
sure.
get them
Yeah.
graded.
Yeah. So
God.
I'm gonna be taking PTO off work to go through these baseball cards and find out what I'm getting graded.
You found yourself an official side hustle. So
I mean, I guess. I mean, we'll see. But yeah, that when I saw that $20 charge come up, I was like, "Whew, this changes the game a little bit."
You could fund better.
Oh, my stomach would have dropped.
I could upgrade this shit ass Wi-Fi that I'm working with right now.
I still don't understand how my Wi-Fi is better than yours, and I have like
I don't either.
Speed.
I don't either.
Does that something to do with you hosting?
It probably is. Honestly, y'all are probably all piggybacking off of my Wi-Fi.
Yeah,
but
maybe.
Yeah, it looks like I'm never gonna host.
Did you set it up with the? Did you set up a Zoom with the podcast email, or did you do it with your own?
I did it with mine.
So next month, let's try with the podcast email. Maybe if I host it, might do better. I don't know.
Yeah, we can try it out.
Yes.
But yeah, so that was just my highlight of the week was these baseball cards that may or may not make me rich someday. So if you guys stop hearing from me, know that I retired off these baseball cards.
Don't forget about me.
I'll slide y'all. I'll send you a better webcam.
All right. Well, this pretty much concludes our high and low segment. Let's go ahead and move on to the NBA. Let's give off some NBA predictions for, let's see, the playoffs. How do y'all see the playoff picture rounding out?
I think it's really injury dependent. I'd say if everyone's healthy, every team, I've got the Nets, and I don't see that happening. I've got a lot of faith in the Sixers, a lot of faith in maybe the Suns, and I'd say those are the two teams I have the most faith in, especially if teams like the Nets and Lakers are dealing with injuries.
The Rockets bias is coming out of me on this, but I just don't want to see the Nets succeed. But I know with a three-headed monster of KD, Kyrie, and Harden all healthy, it's an unstoppable team.
See, and I'm kind of the opposite.
Blake Griffin.
I want to see Harden win his ring because I mean that in the games that Harden has played, they've only played 7 games altogether as a unit, but the games that just Harden has played or just Harden and one of them have played have been the best version of that team. It's obvious. I think it's obvious. Out of the 3, James Harden's better than KD and Kyrie.
That's only because KD's injury prone also right now.
Yeah. But
if KD was fully healthy, it's KD over Harden easily.
But they've been playing the best version of basketball. James Harden has made KD and Kyrie better, dropping 18 assists when everyone's healthy and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, you got to think too, though. Like, you can compare Kyrie to Harden a little easier than you can compare Harden to KD, because
that is true.
I mean, you can't even compare the game styles they play. Because
no,
if you're talking about like a duo, I'd rather have Harden and KD on court together than Harden and Kyrie.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously everyone knows Harden's nothing without the ball in his hands, and KD's the opposite. KD can do whatever you need. He can have the ball. He can play off the ball. He can do whatever. But I mean, it kind of, you hear it day in and day out all over the internet. But if you put Harden and Kyrie on the court together, there's only one ball and they can't both dribble it.
And that's why they've but they've even came to the agreement that when they're on the court together, Harden's more of the point guard because he's better at it than Kyrie. They've even
Yeah.
Kyrie's came out and said that Harden's the point guard, but Harden's never even played. Like, of course they play together in OKC, but since Harden's kind of he the past 4 or 5 years stepped it up to this new level, he hasn't played with anyone similar to KD. In I think I think just Harden and KD, slap them on any team, they're a top 5 team in either conference.
Yeah, for sure. And then like also like, and you talk about the big three, but then like you have to also look at like who they have supporting them. And they've got Blake Griffin. Who else is coming off in like
They got DeAndre Jordan.
That's the other one.
Joe
I knew they had a
Harris.
big man. Yeah, I mean that
Yeah.
team. I mean, you want to talk about a complete team. That team's top to bottom.
Nicholas Claxton is a name that came out of nowhere too. He's been pretty great coming off the bench behind Jordan, just being a great defensive player.
Going to the complete other side of the league, I know that Wiz and Hunter both are riding this Rockets being in last place, primed for the number 1 overall pick.
Yes.
And can I just say, I think the Rockets, they're not good enough, but I think we're obviously tanking.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you look at that lineup, there's no like
we're not the worst team in the league.
Right, y'all are not 15 wins bad.
No. I think they're just experimenting different lineups, but also we have to make sure that we get in a situation where we're able to get a pick 1 through 4. Otherwise, all of this was for nothing.
Oh yeah.
So I'm glad you said that, because I was going to say I actually saw a mock draft, which an early NBA mock draft as the standings stand right now, with my Thunder trading up to the number 1 overall pick to get Cade Cunningham from the Rockets.
Who'd y'all give the Rockets?
It didn't go into detail on the trade. It just had us swapping it had the Thunder at the 4 pick, so y'all swapped down to the 4th overall, and it didn't say what was in, like, what other pieces were involved. But I mean, with where the Thunder are sitting right now, a top 5 overall pick is extremely realistic. And I mean, a trade up to number 1 from a top 5 pick is not even remotely out of the question. So if I could get Cade Cunningham to stay in Oklahoma, I might watch NBA again.
The thing I find unlikely about that is I feel like I said, the Rockets are obviously tanking and they're not as bad as they are. So a good piece or two, like you get Cade Cunningham or even
right
and the center.
You don't tank this hard unless you've got your eye on something.
Yeah.
So I mean, like,
yeah,
if
I doubt.
I say if they are tanking like this, like, it's because they know that Cade Cunningham is a generational talent, one of the most complete NBA prospects to come out of college in a good minute.
In no disrespect to Wall, but he's not efficient enough. He takes bad shots. I'd say Cade Cunningham in a lesser role is better than Wall in his role on the Rockets. But
yeah, so that's where my limited basketball knowledge can kind of shine here. Being an Oklahoma State fan, I actually got to see a good bit of Cade Cunningham. And you talked about a lesser role. That was kind of Oklahoma State this year. I mean, it was live or die by Cade Cunningham. It was live or die by Cade Cunningham. And like, when he was hot, we were hot. We were one of the best teams in the country. When he was cold, nothing was going on for us. So getting him into like a more limited situation with playmakers around him, you might actually get to see you might even get a better idea of what Cade Cunningham can do.
Okay, we might have to cut that out. I don't know, but
yeah, that was so crazy.
I think got the gist. Is you pretty much said live and die by Cade Cunningham. When he's hot, y'all won. When he wasn't, y'all lost.
Right, and so that's why I say like a limited a more limited situation for him could actually benefit his play style.
Oh yeah.
Because that way, like when he's cold, the whole team's not ice cold. I mean, because that was the way it was for Oklahoma State. Like if he wasn't out there hitting shots, like we just weren't putting points on the board as a team.
Yeah.
Whereas the Rockets, like it's like I said, y'all aren't
So-
bad. Y'all are not last pick bad.
No.
So I'm not super into college basketball, but obviously I know especially for March Madness, I know the big names and stuff like that. So what NBA player would you compare Cade to?
Oh, that's tough. So I'm the opposite. I don't watch enough NBA to make an accurate comparison. I mean, I've seen every comparison, like just from like reading ESPN articles, every comparison you can think of. I mean, there have been, I think Ben Simmons has been the big one that I've seen from a college standpoint. People calling him the best NBA prospect since Ben Simmons. I couldn't even tell you off the top of my head. I mean, he's just complete. Like he can shoot. He has cold nights where he doesn't shoot the ball, but he's big, but he can move like a guard. He's big enough that he can go down in the post and play. But on the nights that he feels like it, he can shoot from outside with the best of them.
So I think he really would be a good fit for the Rockets because Christian Wood's kind of undersized center, and what is it? Kevin Porter Jr. can play shooting guard, small forward, and Jayshawn Tate can play small forward, power forward. So you can kind of slide those guys wherever you want, and kind of just fill in whichever other spot you need. Like you can with those four guys, you could add pretty much whatever one position you want to that lineup, and it would work.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I have hope for. But
all right, so how about real quick, see if we could do this off the dome. Give me your playoff seedings in East and the West. 1 through 8.
Jesus Christ.
off the dome,
Who do you think will actually make it?
are including playing? See, NBA's fucked this year.
Oh god, I forgot about the play. I made it tough.
I
Okay,
mean,
I can tell you all the current seeding, and let's do it this way. Let's see. I'll say who's in 1, who's 2, who's 3, and I'll let you answer yes or no if they stay there or not. So let's start with the Western Conference, and the current 1 seed is the Utah Jazz.
Yeah,
Think they
they're
stay the 1 seed
staying
before
there.
they go?
They're not moving.
the Suns have even dropped like 2 games recently. I think they want to stay the 2nd seed because it looks like the Lakers are going to be 4 or 5, and they're going to have to end up playing the Jazz after they win.
Yeah, I mean seeds 1 through 3 pretty close. That's
Yeah.
Jazz only have a 1.5 game lead. And with that being said, this 2 seed is the Phoenix Suns. So who do y'all see? They stay in the 2.
I think the Suns want to stay 2. So I think they'll even take 3, but they don't want to move up to 1. They don't want to drop to 4. They
Suns only have a half game lead of the 2nd place spot.
I want to say that I could see the Clippers moving up to 2, but I've just seen them so hot and cold. Like, I mean, what was that one game? They scored 17 points or 20 points in the first half. Like
that was like 2nd week of the year.
I just feel like I feel like that kind of has been like representative of like the majority of their season though. Like they can be one of the best teams, and they can also be one of the worst teams in the NBA. So like that's why I have a hard time like just coming out and saying like, yeah, I think they're going to move up to number 2.
And I mean, when you look back at their series last year with who'd they blow it against? The Nuggets. They blew like 3 straight third, 4th quarter leads. It's because the first half they were great, up by 20. In the second half, they were just god awful, nowhere to be found. So
Paul George ice cold the entire time.
Well, and speaking of comparisons, I think the comparison for this year's Clippers team and then like last year against the Nuggets, like you were saying, coming out cold. What was it in like 2016 or so that back when like the Rockets still had Lou Williams, Eric Gordon, James Harden, like that whole lineup of like 3-point shooters. And if the Rockets hit their threes, they'd beat you by 30. But if they didn't hit their threes, they were like extremely beatable.
Yeah.
That's kind of the picture I get with the Clippers this year of just like, I mean, if they come out, I mean, if Paul George hits his shots, I mean, good luck keeping up with them.
Oh, I mean, they've been great when Paul, like the past 2-3 weeks, Paul George has been on fire and they've been great. But I wouldn't bet a penny on relying on Paul.
Right, because it can stop at any moment. Like, I mean, you've seen it with the Clippers, you've seen it with the Thunder when he was in OKC. Like, it's the exact same story as we saw with Houston a few years ago. Like, it all depends on if their shots go in, and their shots can stop going in like that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, with that being said, Clippers are 3 seed.
How far are they?
I don't see them staying at a 3 seed. I feel like they're going to drop lower because I
was
feel like the
going to
Nuggets
say
are
the
going to
same
improve.
thing. I was saying the same thing. And honestly, if we want to get a little bit ahead of ourselves, I also don't see the Lakers staying at 5.
I don't either.
You think they drop or go up?
I think the Lakers are better than a 5 seed.
But yeah, AD just came back, and they're still not right.
Anthony Davis is on a 15-minute restriction. He's only. I think they said he's only going to play 15 minutes in the first half.
And you've also got to look at. I mean, if you look over the history of LeBron's career, you've got to imagine, like, does he care? Like,
no.
Like,
no, he don't care. This
he
team
was
is
the
going to
4
be
seed with the
different.
Heat.
That's what I'm saying. Like, LeBron knows he can do whatever he needs to do at whatever time he needs to do it. So,
yeah.
Which that's why I think the Suns want to stay in that 2 seed because they won't have to face them till the final or the conference finals. And maybe someone gets injured. I think that's what Suns are hoping for.
I definitely see the Clippers falling to the 4. Or, like I said, if LeBron just decides in his head that he doesn't want to be a 5 seed going into the playoffs, that you see the Lakers move up and the Clippers fall possibly to a 5 seed if the Lakers decide they want to turn it on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just when the Lakers are healthy. I mean, they have a great start. Schroeder, point guard. I can't think of who their shooting guard is. Top of my head for the starter.
I can't either.
I can't off the top of my head.
Kuzma's small forward.
Yeah, no, Kuzma's power forward.
Is he? I thought AD was power forward. AD doesn't play center.
Well, Kuzma's not a starter. Kuzma's a reserve, or he's on the bench.
Lakers. It looks like currently McLemore is starting for the Lakers.
I mean, they just picked him up, but I'm talking about like healthy. Who was there? I don't know.
I don't know that lineup.
The point is, they got 4 main guys: Schroeder, LeBron, AD, and Drummond, all when healthy. That's a great team.
Oh, that's for sure.
That's dominant paint. That's great floor spacing.
And especially, you're not asking Drummond to score. He does not need to score.
No, you're just asking him to defend the paint, which is something that he can do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just it's a scary team to look out for in the West. But after about 15 and below is where it starts getting shaky. So we kind of skipped the Nuggets at the 4 seed. So Nuggets, I feel like they may move up to the 3rd seed.
Nuggets have surprised me because I know that's Jokic's team, but they haven't missed a beat without Murray. And
exactly,
Michael Porter Jr. has really stepped it up since. But I'm surprised. I'm still they're a dark horse team. I could see them upsetting anyone, and but
all right, Lakers at 5. I don't see them dropping lower than maybe 6 at least.
No, they definitely don't want to go to 7th because then they get into play-in.
Yeah, I think they're going to fight to at least try to get 14 and above, so they don't lose too much of home court.
Yeah, that's what I think too. I think LeBron, like I said, LeBron just has that switch, and I don't think he likes being at 5 right now, and I think it's just a matter of time before he decides that they want a higher seed. He's just going to make it happen.
Yeah, that's also it's going to be a lot of work because that's the biggest gap. The gap between the 4th seed and the 5th seed is a 4-game gap.
Oh wow!
So they got to put in a lot of work.
There's only about 15 games left, huh?
Exactly. So it's going to be.
It looks like
it's going to be tough.
The Lakers only have 12 left,
Wow.
and they've got, depending on where they want to get to, they've got either a 4-game or a 7-game gap to make up.
Yeah.
Do y'all know how the plan works this year?
I have no clue.
I'm not.
So
Yeah, I have no clue because I was curious, or I was confused how it worked last year.
So last year was just the 9 or the 8 seed played the 9 seed if they were within a certain distance, and that's why only the West did it and the East didn't. But this year the 7th and the 8th seed play for the 7th seed, and the loser plays the winner of the 9th and 10th seed for the 8th seed.
Oh Jesus!
So like, I think
that's
right now the Trailblazers are the 7th seed. So if they lose to the Grizzlies are 7th.
And then they have to play the winner of Spurs Warriors as it stands right now.
Yes. So like if you're 7 or 8 seed, you get 2 chances pretty much to get one of those seeds.
Yeah.
But
I really don't like that much because that could, I mean, it's based off one game or maybe 2 at the most. That could be 2 fluke games.
No, and Mark Cuban even called the NBA out for it because it's like, teams like to lock up that 7th, like you could have a 7th seed locked up by now and kind of like be comfortable, but you can't now. And he said they wish they would have just made it 10-man playoff.
If you look at it from the Trailblazers perspective, like, I mean, you're the Trailblazers, you're 5 games above 500, but 2 games could end up seeing you like out of the playoffs to the Warriors, who like they're currently like almost 3 games ahead of the Warriors. And I mean, yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me.
I'm hoping for that because the Rockets have the Trailblazers pick. I would love to see it drop to like 15, 16, whatever it would be.
Jesus.
I mean, we have number 1, number 16. That's great, but I don't think it's fair, and I guess I'll get on what I was going to talk to later.
And because like you got to think about it too, like so. Let's just say in a perfect world, the Warriors, who sit at 10 right now, they win. I mean, 2 games in a row. I mean, that's not that much. That you win 2, you hit your shots for 2 games and you sneak into the 8th seed. Are we like looking forward to Warriors versus Jazz?
Well,
Jazz
honestly,
will with them.
I mean,
exactly.
honestly,
I mean, I feel like Jazz would win in 5 or 6. Easy. One team I don't see making it. I don't see the Spurs doing it. I don't think they're a complete enough team to even make it in.
No.
And if they made it in, it'd be a sweep.
One thing I'm going to say is actually, I would give. I hate Steph Curry. I hate the Warriors, but I would give them the benefit of the doubt. Steph Curry and Steve Kerr having experience, and the Jazz being knocked out of the playoffs so many times early. I think the Warriors at 8 would have a chance against the Jazz.
I mean, I could see it. Don't get me wrong. You never count out Steph Curry.
Exactly.
You can't count him out.
Right. And so like that's what I said about the play. And like all it takes for the Warriors to win that play and is to hit their shots for 2 games. I just don't know if I see that happening over the course of an entire series, especially with that being against the Jazz.
I don't know. I don't buy into the Jazz. I don't think they're as good as their record. I think Donovan Mitchell is extremely streaky and has his fair share of bad games. And what's his name? Rudy Gobert. He's playing great right now, but like he definitely has his slumps too. He'll go a month without scoring above 20. And
yeah.
That team is just. I think that team is streaky.
So the last 3 seeds in the West is 6, 7, 8 is Mavericks, Trailblazers, Grizzlies. Who do y'all see taking the last 3 seeds?
So of course I'm hoping that the Trailblazers get sucked into that plan. Mavericks are healthy and hot. I could see them taking the 6th and 7th and 8th. Seem like it's going to be Trailblazers, Grizzlies.
Yeah, so I think the Mavericks are pretty set where they're at. I definitely don't see them.
Yeah, I see
falling.
the Mavericks making it in.
I don't necessarily know if there's room for them to move up, especially if the Lakers start playing better. But yeah, I definitely don't see the Mavericks falling below 6.
Yeah, I would say Mavs. I don't want to count the Trailblazers out, but I don't believe the Grizzlies can do it. So I'm gonna say Mavs, Trailblazers, and I think maybe Warriors work their way to the 8th seed.
Yeah, I think the Trailblazers beat the Grizzlies, and the Grizzlies are still young, and I could see them fall into. I mean, even the Spurs. If the Spurs somehow beat the Warriors, I think the Spurs would beat the Grizzlies.
Yeah, I think
Just
if the
'cause
I think if
experience.
the Warriors win their first play-in game, which I think they do, I think they beat the Spurs, then I think they win their second one and get the 8th seed too.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to the Eastern Conference, number 1 Nets. I think they'll stay there. I don't.
The
The
Nets are 1 right
76ers
now.
put up a fight to come take it, but I feel like they'll stay the Nets are 1 in the East.
76ers are healthy though. The Nets are without Harden.
76ers are on a 4-game losing streak.
Ben Simmons has been out. That's it. I think without Harden, and Katie and Kyrie are gonna miss a couple games. I think they take it back because Harden's probably not coming back to like
Maybe if
playoffs.
it depends on when's. Yeah, they want to keep their 3 healthy because they know they can blow through anybody when healthy.
Mm-hmm.
But I could see him staying. If they let Harden come back, I can see him keeping the first. But if Ben Simmons is still out for the Sixers, but if they just end up resting their stars to playoffs, I can see the Sixers taking it back. But with that being said, Sixers are the 2 seed. Do y'all see them maybe falling down lower, maybe to the Bucks?
What's the difference between the Sixers and Bucks?
Game and a half.
It's
game
and a half.
I mean, it's hard because I think the Bucks have also been streaky this year, but I don't know. I think when the Sixers are healthy, they're not better than the Nets healthy, but the Nets aren't going to be healthy. So the Sixers get healthy.
Yeah.
I think they take over that first seed. I see the Bucks staying put.
Yeah, I don't see the Sixers dropping any lower, so I feel like it'll stay the 2 or the 1. That's the farthest.
God.
Right.
Then after that, it gets clogged up.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got the freaking red hot Knicks. I mean,
oh yeah,
I love the Knicks. To me, it's the Cinderella story of the NBA this year. Love it.
Oh yeah,
it's a great thing to root for.
I love an underdog.
This is a good time for me to correct myself. I said that the Lakers had 12 games left. They have 22 games left. I can't do math.
Wait, it's a 72-game season this year.
Fuck me. Okay, never mind. They have 12 games left.
Yeah.
I was right the first time.
All right. Bucks at 3 seed. I don't believe in Giannis. I really don't.
No. I think his play style is very one-dimensional, and he can be in a 7-game series. It's obvious he can be adjusted towards.
And it's already been shown. I mean, how many years now in the playoffs has he just been completely exposed in the playoffs?
I mean, it's like right now, if playoffs stay the same, they're playing the Celtics. I think he could beat the Celtics. Honestly, they don't have a big man who can stop him, I think. But if you tell me the Hawks drop down to 6 and they have Capella and John Collins, I think Hawks swipe the floor with the Bucks.
Yeah. All right, now you go down to the Knicks. There's a 4-game gap between the Bucks and the Knicks in the 4 seed. So I would like to see them. I don't see the Knicks going lower, but I would like to see them somehow surpass the Bucks to the 3 seed.
No. I think. I mean, obviously, I don't think anybody would argue right now that the Knicks are better than the Bucks. I just don't know if there's enough time left for them to make up the 4-game gap that they've got.
Yeah, they would have to keep. How many more times did the Knicks play the Bucks this year, if any?
Let's see.
They do not. The Bucks do have a tough looking schedule coming up, though. They play the Hawks, Wizards, Nets twice.
Wizards. Oh, Nets twice.
The Knicks don't have a cakewalk coming up. They've got the Suns twice.
Ooh.
The Nuggets, the Lakers, the Clippers.
All playoffs are playing teams, literally. Everyone's playoffs are playing. Everyone's got something to fight for.
Hey, the Suns are up right now against Brooklyn. They're up by 2-1. Yeah, Phoenix and Brooklyn. They're in Brooklyn.
I think KD came back today.
Yes, he did.
But honestly, if you're asking me like 4 through 7 in the East, anything can happen.
Complete toss up. Yeah,
It really
I feel the
could.
same way.
I
And
think
like
the
I think the Knicks stay at 4. I think the Knicks are like just feeling it right now, and I think they probably. I don't know if they have what it takes to like overcome the Bucks and get to 3, but I definitely think they stay at 4.
Oh yeah.
I think 5, 6, and 7, all 3 of those teams could land anywhere in there. I mean, I think you could flip a coin with any of those teams.
Yeah.
And then you
Hawks
go
over Heat. They're like wild cards.
Okay. But
so then that takes us to the play-in. I think if the Heat stay where they're at and end up in that play-in situation, I mean, I think they're going to run through the play-in games.
Do the Hornets keep dropping? Because I mean, they've obviously been worse since LaMelo.
Yeah, but LaMelo's also coming back. He's coming back. So if they could at least stay in the playoffs, so maybe try to get above the 17 and above, they might have a good chance of fighting. But I want to see him in there. I don't want to count out the Heat, even though because Jimmy Butler has that dog in him.
But you know what I'm going to say? The Wizards at 10, they might be just like the Warriors.
That was what I was holding on to. Is I think the Wizards at 10 could potentially cause problems in a play-in situation.
I'm not convinced in the Wizards as much. I can't convince myself.
I mean, no, they're definitely not winning any series.
Oh
but
no!
If you're telling me
spoilers.
Right, but from a strictly play-in situation,
if you're telling me Bradley Beal can't put up 32 games in a row and Russ can't give you a triple-double 2 games in a row to upset the Pacers and Hornets, I mean.
I don't know if it ends up being Pacers and Wizards. I feel like the Pacers will come out of that because Pacers they got LeVert playing. They're still getting him comfortable. You got Brogdon, you got Sabonis, you got Miles Turner. I don't know if he's still hurt or not. Pacers have a great team. Wizards, you got Westbrook and Beal.
What I'm going to say right here is going to be completely controversial, but like the past 2 months, Russell Westbrook's been like a top 3 player in the NBA. He
constantly averages a triple-double.
But he's been averaging triple-double with 15-plus rebounds and assists and 20-plus points. That's like the past 2 months have been better than any stretch he had during his MVP season with the Thunder. He's been insane.
And so now you just triggered something like you're not going to get any Westbrook hate out of me being an OKC fan. And so what you're like in a play-in situation and talking about the stretch of games where Westbrook is coming off of, Westbrook is capable of that at will. And I mean, I've seen it enough in Oklahoma City. Westbrook can will himself to any stat line he feels like.
If the play-in started tomorrow, I'd put money on the Wizards. It just depends on what happens the next.
See, that's I couldn't. I would love to, but I can't 100% put money. I couldn't put money on it because I have a lot of faith in the Pacers also.
I mean, I don't disagree with you. Oh, yeah. I think the Pacers are a better team on paper when you
and especially next to each other.
They're more all around because the Wizards are only based on themselves off Westbrook and Beal. Pacers have more than 2 people to depend on.
But in a one-game play-in, you have to ask yourself, let's say Westbrook gets pissed off and plays like he's been playing, and Beal shoots like he's been like he's shown that he can. If both of those things happen in a one-game play-in, can the Pacers keep up?
That's true.
That's why I'm with Wiz. I think in a one-game play-in situation, I'm not necessarily saying I would bet money on the Wizards, but I'm definitely keeping an eye on it.
Confident in the Wizards.
Yeah. Let's talk about the playoffs. Let's go ahead and keep looking forward towards the end of the regular season, and let's give our MVP awards out. Who do y'all have winning the MVP?
I'll go last year.
Oh God. Do you want to go ahead and take it first?
Oh God, why did you pick the guy that doesn't watch any NBA?
Because me and Wiz can help you at the end.
Okay, well, my take is going to be white hot garbage. I'll start by saying at the beginning of the season, I had LeBron locked up as MVP.
Oof.
Because
That
I thought for sure NBA is a narrative-based, storyline-based league. Everyone knows that. I thought that the Lakers were going to be in a much better playoff situation and a much better situation to contend for the championship. And so I thought just the storyline and the narrative of LeBron taking the Lakers potentially back to back was going to push him to the front of the MVP race. I think we can all somewhat agree that's out the window. So I'm just going to throw out the safe pick. Just from everything that I've heard from everybody that pays attention to the NBA, if the Nuggets keep playing, I think Jokic is the safe money.
see, that's who my pick is. I'm glad you say that, but the media is not all hyped about Jokic as much
Exactly.
as his actual stats show.
And
But
NBA,
I think
NBA
I just don't
MVP is
get
a
it.
hype award. NBA MVP is a hype award.
I'm one of the firm believers that the MVP is basically picked by the media at the beginning of the season.
oh yeah.
They ride that narrative throughout the whole season.
And that's why I say, if the Nuggets don't collapse in on themselves, I just think he's the safe money.
Mm-hmm.
But if
Nuggets, his stats show that he should be the MVP. But I mean, I wouldn't be mad either if Embiid won.
Yeah. So I think
outside of Embiid and Jokic, I have no idea who could take this award home. Because it's been such a odd, different year.
I think Embiid would run away with it if it wasn't for his injuries, because he's missed 18, 17 games, something like that this year, which is a lot.
And that's not unordinary for Embiid. I mean, we've seen him struggle with injuries and bad stretches in the past. So that's the other reason I think.
Yeah.
If you just want to look at storylines, if everything stays the same, I think Jokic has it in the bag because he kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah. But personally, I think Embiid, Jokic definitely fills the stat sheet a little better, but I definitely think Embiid has a greater impact on the 76ers winning because he doesn't get the assists like Jokic. That's pretty much their biggest difference. But other than that, I feel like Embiid's a better overall player. I'd take him minus injuries. But speaking of narrative driven and stuff like that, and how Jokic doesn't seem to be getting as much love in the MVP conversation is why the past week or two, the media has been throwing Curry so hard.
I was gonna throw that to you because you hinted at your Curry hate earlier.
Yes. So they're 30-30 in the play-in. They're not even in the playoffs. And I mean, the team has been disappointing, but he still has above average players in help me, what are their names? What he's got, Wiggins and Oubre. He had James Wiseman most of the year.
You got the rookie.
Wiseman's out.
Yeah, most of the year.
Still got Draymond.
Draymond's been great. So why aren't you? Because how many games out of the? Why can't the Warriors? Why haven't they won 5 more games and they're not in the 5 seed tied with the Lakers? Why? You can't tell me.
I mean, Curry missed some good time too.
I mean,
not that much. I don't think that. I think, especially with the way media has screwed over guys like Harden in the past, and
oh my god,
even LeBron last year. How I don't think Giannis should have been behind Giannis should have been behind Harden and LeBron last year, and he won. And LeBron and Harden both came out and said it was a media-driven award, and that's why. So I don't think Curry has any right as a 30-30 team being in the conversation.
I also find it weird that I find it odd that Giannis is still in the conversation this year. Based off my limited knowledge, I'm sure he has the stats to kind of put him there. But I just do we not all kind of know what we're getting with Giannis at this point?
Exactly.
Like, you're getting a one-dimensional player.
It's a tall Westbrook.
That's exactly what I was about to say. I was about to say, imagine if Westbrook was almost 7 foot tall and jacked. Like, it's the same skill set. Like, if he could, I've said this for probably a good 2-3 years now. If Giannis could shoot from 15 feet, just if he could just find a mid range, he'd be head and shoulders above the rest of the league.
Oh yeah.
But he has got to be the most like game planable player in the NBA.
Oh, yeah.
Because you know exactly what you're getting with him night in and night out. And he's just big enough and strong enough to year in and year out keep himself in the conversation.
But tied into that, so pretty much my biggest pet peeve with the MVP award is how much the media flip-flops on whether or not wins matter. Because, I mean, technically, if you look at it from a certain angle, even with all the games he's missed and how much he's improved the Nets when he's been there, Harden, when you look at the Rockets, should be the MVP because the Rockets are hot garbage, but he dragged that team over and over again in the playoffs and got one MVP out of all of that. And because he was the 3rd seed one year and Curry was the 1st seed, even though he had better stats across the board, they gave it to Curry. So I just don't get how they can even justify having someone like Curry or Giannis in this year's comp.
Yeah, I think when you, like, from a Harden standpoint, when you land yourself on a team like the Nets have, I think you pretty much take yourself out of the MVP conversation because nobody's going to come out of that roster like
looking the best.
I mean,
it's they all rely on each other at this point.
I mean, last year some people were saying that AD should have been the MVP conversation because how much he improved the Lakers, but you have AD and LeBron.
But to do that, AD would have to outshine LeBron, which good luck. Like,
no one's outshining LeBron. Honest, none of his teammates are going to outshine him.
I'm also going to say I think LeBron is great. He commands the team. He makes the team better. But I don't think, situational at least, in year to year, I don't think the past 5 years he should have been top 3 MVP conversation. I definitely don't think this year, even if he was healthy and they were 1 seed, I think guys like Embiid and Jokic were still more valuable to their team than LeBron was to the Lakers. Because, like, it's weird to say, but I think at times he's even detrimental to an extent, but I don't know.
Yeah, so I think that about wraps up what we've got for today. Episode 1, Below 500 Pod. Find us on, is it just Twitter or do we have multiple social medias, Wiz?
Right now I have Twitter. I need to set up an Instagram. If y'all want me to set up anything else, I can. But right now,
find us on Twitter at Below 500 Pod. Wiz is going to be working on getting us on pretty much all your podcasting platforms. YouTube will be a different conversation.
Yeah. Well, for sure, we should for sure be on Spotify. I think I can get us on YouTube. And I got to figure out Apple Podcasts.
Yeah. All right. Run it up.
All right.
Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your coworkers. Get that name out there. We're going to try. Are we shooting for once a week episodes?
Yeah, I think so.
Once a week episodes. We don't really have a day locked in yet, but we'll find a day that works for all 3 of us and try to get more regular going forward.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Well, this has been the Below 500 podcast. I'm Hunter.
I'm Gooch.
Thank you for tuning in.
Signing off.